Welcome to Going for the Green. I'm Brad Thomas here with Denny Carter. And we're not only going to talk about the PGA Tour, we're going to talk about the LPGA Tour Women's US Open. And we're actually going to kick things off there, Denny, because I know me as a true degenerate, I have like 8 million bets, but I'm going to give my favorite two. And you have a laundry list as well. So why don't you kick things off with your first US Women's Open bet?
Look, Nelly Korda is, almost goes without saying,
Yeah.
and short odds and everything. I think I want to be a little more interesting. I want to mention golfers who are not named Nelly Korda, and there are some excellent ones to choose from this week in the U.S. Women's Open. Minjee Lee, the sister of Min Woo Lee on the PGA Tour. She's a serious contender here, 25th on the LPGA Tour in total strokes gained this season. She's first in strokes gained on approach, just a blistering iron player. And she's sixth best in average proximity to the pin. Like I said, when she puts it in the fairway, and she's a little iffy off the tee, but when she puts it in the fairway, she is unstoppable. That's going to be really important this week. I like her at plus 3,500 to shock the world and win this event.
Yeah, Denny, you said Nelly Korda, the favorite twin, right? Plus 350. It's hard to go to any major championship and want to back the favorite at such a short price. Nelly Korda, 6 wins on the season, seeking only her third major, though. She has, 14 wins, only 2 of them being majors. I thought that was pretty important, but I'm still going to try to beat her. And the first golfer that I'm going to bet on is Hannah Green at plus 3,500. Like I said, I told you I'm totally DJing out. I think I put a little bit on her top 10 and top 20 because those prices were just nuts. I think for her to finish top 20 was like, I don't know, plus 200. She is second this season in scoring average, only behind the best female golfer on the planet, being Nelly Korda. And she's fourth in greens in regulation. She's fourth in strokes gained approach. She has 2 wins this season. And what I love about, these bigger prices, these mid-priced golfers, is when they don't miss cuts. Hannah Green hasn't missed a cut at the U.S. Open since she's been playing professional golf, which I thought was something that I could get behind if I'm taking someone at 35-1.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention someone who I actually watched play a bunch back in February in March in Patty Tavatanakit. I hope I didn't butcher Patty's last name there. And I was so impressed by her. This is a woman who has that dog in her. Okay. Like she will grind. She'll do whatever it takes. I saw her pointing at the cup as the ball goes in, like Tiger circa like 2003, like just a total dog on the course. I like her a lot. Plus 800 to finish top 5. She has the same odds as Minjee Lee at 3,500 to win this event. Tavatanakit is 8th in total strokes gained this season, 7th best around the green, and 12th best off the tee. She does struggle with her irons, so that is a concern here. But I really like her as a top 10 or even a top 5 finish at the U.S. Women's Open.
Love it, man. I'm going to go. Well, actually, before I tell you my golfer, I want to talk about my thought process about betting a little bit. Let's make this make more sense. Is anytime, whatever event I'm betting on, I try to eliminate the name from it. That's the last thing I factor into my equation. I just want to look at the person who pops up over and over again. So I build out my spreadsheet and I put ticks in different categories. So the person's reduced down to an X because sometimes it's as cut and dry as how they are playing and not necessarily the person. And why I say that, this golfer's name just kept popping up in almost every single category. That's Ayuka Faraway. She popped up in the top 5 in almost every single statistical category, right? 5th in scoring average this season, 1st in birdies made this season, 3rd in driving distance, top 20 in strokes gained putting. And oh yeah, she has the 2nd most top 10 finishes this season behind none other than Nelly Korda. She's another golfer that I took outright at plus 2,500. I also took her to finish inside the top 10 just because those numbers are astounding. I believe it's something like 6 top 10s on the season. Last week, she gained upwards of 6-7 strokes gained on approach, which was absolutely phenomenal. So I thought this price was another that I had to dive in, especially if I'm going to be trying to fade a plus 350 in Nelly Korda.
Sure. Hey, listen, you are a spreadsheet bro for Xing out player names and just going with with recent form. I respect the hell out of you for that, Brad. Yeah, the last player I wanted to mention here is Albane Valenzuela, plus 1,200 to finish top 10 at this U.S. Women's Open. Now, I'm going to
Ooh.
start with the tough news here. She's missed 2 of her past 3 cuts, but it has nothing to do with her long game. Okay, she has been solid, almost elite from tee to green. It has been her putting, and she is one of the worst putters in women's golf right now. Putting is fluky, Brad. We could get a halfway decent. I'm not expecting elite on the green, around the green numbers from her, but I do think that we could get something in the range, in the median outcome, middle outcome, to go along with 4th in strokes gained on approach, 7th in strokes gained off the tee throughout this season. Really, like I said, machine from tee to green. Let's just make a few putts and we can get Valenzuela in the top 10.
Listen, putting is one of those things where all it takes is one hot week, and that could be the difference between a T53 or actually winning or being in contention on Sunday. So I like that. And before we move over to the PGA, I just want to plead for anybody watching who's the data miners out there. Please build some more model services for the LPGA Tour, because this is a market that is so untapped and we need the data.
Please.
I digress, Denny. Let's get over into the PGA Tour. The Canadian Open, the longest standing tournament in the PGA Tour right now. I think it's something back to, like, totally off the top of my head, 1914, 1940, I think it's 1940s. Crazy. But we're playing at Hamilton Golf and Country Club, and Rory's the short shot. I think he's won 2 of the last 3 Canadian Opens. And I'm going to be honest, Denny, I'm going to keep my list real short this week, because I hope that Rory maybe starts with a bogey on the 1st or 2nd or 3rd hole, and I get him at 8-1, because I'll bet him. Rory's the kind of golfer who plays new courses. I don't want to say new, but new courses, or courses that the rest of the guys aren't familiar with, very well. Why? Because his game can travel. He's a beast off the tee, and he's just a really good golfer who's in hot form right now. But there is a golfer who I had to bet, Denny. Sahith Theegala. I bet him at 20-1. I missed the 25-1 at the Open, but listen, I'm down here in Florida, so I had to take the options I had. I also bet him top 20 at plus 130. He's already got a win on the season, right? But what I love about Theegala, and this is more than the X and O's, and I just consider myself a stat guy and crossing out names. Yes, all these stats look great, but there's something that kind of affects or kind of supports my love of Theegala this week, is how he's grown as a competitor. Something that the X's and O's don't measure. Theegala in his interviews, before, I think there was a time where he just didn't believe that he was a top 50 golfer. That thought process has changed, right? He might not believe he's a top 10 golfer, but he knows he's in that top 25. And I think he believes wholeheartedly that he's getting better. And it's showing. Runner-up at RBC Heritage, he's long off the tee, and he's more consistent. He's not having those blow-up holes, which I think can propel him to win. If there's anybody to beat Rory, he's got to be one of the options.
Top 12 in putting over the past 2 months coming into this event for Theegala, and putting and around the green, as much as I don't love it, big factor in who's going to win this week. Also, you get to watch, if you're watching Theegala, you get to watch his dad walk around the course with him, and his dad is an animated character. He makes it very fun. You got to watch Theegala sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good segue into our second golfer for the PGA Tour event. We have the same guy, or your first golfer, my second guy. Yeah. Tell me what you love about Alex Noren and why you're not worried about the 9,900 price tag associated with him in DFS.
Yeah, so I actually think that he won't be super high rostered in DraftKings tournaments. Obviously, Rory McIlroy is going to be very high rostered, and rightfully so. It's hard to fade a guy like that with that much upside. So I'm not telling you to auto fade Rory or anything, but I think Noren at 9,900 will be seen as somewhat overpriced. Look, besides one disastrous event on the greens at the Wells Fargo Championship, he has gained strokes putting in every event this season and ranks 2nd in strokes gained around the green in this field. He's top 15 on approach over the past 60 days. We talked about Alex Noren at least a couple times on this show over the past month or so. We like our show is a big fan of Alex Noren. That continues this week. Around the green numbers are vitally important here, more so than almost anywhere else on the PGA Tour. And Noren is red hot around the greens.
Denny, so my love for Noren this season has gone to no ends. I don't know what it is, but I cannot stop betting him. right? And even at the PGA Championship, a course that wasn't supposed to be a good course fit, he
Right.
goes out and finishes T12. And he realistically had a chance to win the tournament. Now it's a little bit better a fit because when I was looking at the superintendent notes for this event, they said the rough is going to be long. Well,
Okay.
we have Mr. Noren, who's dynamite off the tee. Yes, he's not Rory McIlroy with distance. I think he's only 83rd in the field with distance, but he's hitting fairways.
Mhm.
And because he hits fairways, he hits greens in regulation. Top 10 in greens in regulation, top 10s on strokes gained approach, top 10 tee to green, top 10 strokes gained total. And what's the icing on the cake for all of that? When Mr. Alex Noren misses greens,
Mhm.
he knows how to scramble. I think he's fifth, sixth in strokes gained around the green. So for me, him finishing top 20, this price is absurd. I'm going to keep betting it until I lose.
This is an Alex Noren show. It remains that way this week.
Yes, indeed. Denny, I was close to Mr. Davis Thompson, excuse me, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't pull the trigger. He kind of fits my model a little bit more than Noren. So can you tell me what you like about him? And I need to know, would you risk betting him in the outright market? I know you're only talking DFS, but I got to
Yeah.
know.
In the outright, that's tough because his putting, Brad, as you know, as a spreadsheet warrior, you know this. His putting is bad. I like treacherously bad.
Yes.
And that's, I think so. I don't think that he's an outright type of bet here. 17th around the greens. That's the frustrating part. And you know, Davis Thompson has long been an analytics geek's favorite, and you know, I'm guilty as well. But third on approach, 17th around the greens. 11th in proximity from 100 to 150 yards, which is a big, an important bucket here, but can't get it done on the greens. So the hope is that he does it, that he finally maybe is just an average putter this week. But everything points to a guy who is solid from tee to green, and who I think is a safe bet in DFS to get through to the weekend. And you know, so that's not super inspiring, but you need 6 of 6, you know, in DraftKings, to win any money, you're going to need 6 of 6. And I see Davis Thompson as a guy not going to be super high roster, 7,800. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, Davis Thompson, you know, I like Mr. Thompson there. So I know with this course not having a ton of history here, at least not measured rounds for us to kind of get our feet in, you have to do some course flyovers. And I want to shout out Rick Rungood because he had a good flyover that showed target lines.
Mm-hmm.
And at this course, they implemented new bunkers, fairway bunkers specifically, but there's a lot of dog legs. A lot of the issues are going to be felt for more of those guys who are hitting their ball about 290, 280. But if you hit it in the 300s, 310s, you should bypass some of that trouble, at least so that what the overviews were showing us. There's a guy who's playing outrageous golf right now, who's also long off the tee, not very accurate, but he's long enough to where I think he can outdrive the trouble. That's Taylor Pendrith. Yeah. I'm taking him at a top 20 at plus 250. He did miss the cut at the PGA Championship. And what's funny, when I was looking at his data at the PGA Championship, not only did he lose strokes on approach, which is okay, he lost strokes putting. This is one of the best putters on tour, a guy who consistently is gaining 2 and 3 strokes each week on the putting green. Well, now he plays an event that's not after this crazy run where he had a bunch of top 15s, Corrales, even Zurich in the team event, won the Byron Nelson, Wells Fargo top 10. Now he's playing an event after missing a cut. He can finally breathe and play well. I'm taking him top 20. I think this is a good setup for him. Driving distance goes well and a great putter.
And he flies the ball, you know, Taylor Pendrith flies the ball further than almost anybody. We're talking about in the Rory McIlroy range. So that you're right. He can get past the trouble, unlike our guy Alex Noren, who's short off the tee, but puts it in the fairway. You know, you pick and choose who you want here.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin Laird is a guy who I don't think was on my radar. So I was interested to see what you love about him. And not on my radar doesn't mean it's not a pick that I don't agree with. I just think it just kind of went past where I was looking.
So 6,600 on DraftKings, and Laird comes in with pretty good form. I played him a lot last week in DraftKings as just a guy to get through. You know, got to get through to the weekend. I think that's how you're playing him this week. All of his around the green numbers over the past 60 days, chipping off the fairway out of the rough, out of the bunker, whatever it is, suggests he's an elite around the green player. He led all players last week, actually, in the Charles Schwab event in strokes gained around the green. He was top 30 in ball striking. He's been top 17 in proximity to the pin over the past 60 days. I have some good stats on Martin Laird that I'm sharing with you because I need you to save some of your DraftKings salary by taking Martin Laird at 6,600. It's a very reasonable price, and nobody's gonna play him. Come on, let's be real.
Listen, I have to give you a shout out before we close this out on Zach Johnson. I know he only finished T45, but my man was $5,800, only 2% owned, and still gained 61 fantasy points. Shout out to you, Denny, because that was freaking awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, he just, my model. Look, like you said, I'm not going by the names. I don't care about the names. I just see a guy goes well in my model, and I got to play him. By the way, on FanDuel, he was 0.6% rostered last week, Zach Johnson. So we got by on the FanDuel folks.
Wow, absolutely stunning. Thank you, Denny, for this amazing chat. I hope that we can crash these bets, man, just because we did LPGA, PGA Tour, and anybody who's watching, make sure you check out NBCsports.com for all of the help with your wagers. And I wanted to say one last thing, rest in peace, Grayson Murray. Take care, guys.